What if I told you that the boy selling newspapers on the dusty streets of Tamil Nadu would one day become the President of India? What if I told you that the child who studied under street lamps because there was no electricity at home would go on to lead one of the most powerful missile programs in the world? This is not a fairy tale. This is the real story of Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, the missile man of India. In the small town of Rameswaram, Tamil Nadu, Abdul Kalam was born into a poor Muslim family. His father owned a small boat and ferried pilgrims, while his mother worked tirelessly to feed the family. Life was harsh, money was scarce, and opportunities were almost non-existent. As a boy, Kalam would wake up before sunrise to help his family. He sold newspapers in the streets, not because he wanted to, but because survival demanded it. His clothes were simple, his stomach often empty, but his eyes always carried a quiet spark. When others saw only struggle, Kalam saw possibility. Every evening, after finishing his chores, Kalam would sit with his books. Sometimes, when the oil lamps ran out, he would read under the streetlight. His teachers noticed something extraordinary in him. Not brilliance, but persistence. One teacher once asked him, "Kalam, why do you work so hard?" The boy simply smiled and replied, "Because knowledge is the only wealth my family cannot lose." That simple belief became his compass. But the road was never smooth. Kalam faced rejection after rejection. He dreamt of becoming a fighter pilot, but he missed the cutoff by just one rank. For a young man with no safety net, failure could have been the end. Yet Kalam did not give up. He once said, "Sometimes a failure is the first step towards your greatest success." Instead of mourning what he lost, he doubled down on what he could gain. He joined the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, and later the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. At ISRO, Kalam worked tirelessly on India's first satellite launch vehicle, SLV-3. Many attempts failed. Rockets exploded. Critics mocked. Budgets ran thin. But Kalam and his team persisted. Finally, in 1980, India successfully placed the Rohini satellite into orbit. That single moment wasn't just a scientific achievement. It was a statement to the world. India can. Kalam didn't stop there. He went on to lead the development of India's ballistic missiles, Agni and Prithvi, earning the title Missile Man of India. But what made him legendary wasn't just the technology he built. It was the faith he ignited in an entire generation. In 2002, Kalam became the 11th President of India. Unlike many leaders, he lived simply. He carried no ego, only humility. He refused luxury, choosing instead to be accessible to students, to children, to ordinary citizens. Ask anyone in India. Kalam wasn't just a scientist or a president. He was a teacher at heart. His greatest joy was not in missiles or machines, but in the dreams of the youth. He once said, "Dream, dream, dream, dream." Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. Psychologists call this the growth mindset, the belief that talent and intelligence are not fixed, but can be developed through effort, learning, and resilience. Kalam embodied this truth. Born into poverty, denied opportunities, rejected in his first dream. He could have given up, but instead, he saw every obstacle as training, every failure as fertilizer. From a scientific perspective, it was his ability to adapt and persevere that turned him into a world-class innovator. From a human perspective, it was his ability to dream that turned him into a legend. Think about it. A boy with no privilege, no wealth, no connections. Yet he rose to the highest office in the land. How? Because destiny doesn't care where you begin. Kalam's life whispers a lesson to all of us. Your background may explain you, but it does not define you. The boatman's son became the people's president. The newspaper boy became the missile man. If Kalam's story proves anything, it is this: a humble beginning cannot hold back a great spirit. Today, when we look back at his journey, it is not just his scientific contributions that inspire us. It is his humanity, his humility, and his unshakable belief in young people. Kalam left us in 2015, but his words still echo. Don't rest after your first victory. Because if you fail in the second, more lips are waiting to say that your first victory was just luck. He never wanted us to worship him. He wanted us to believe in ourselves. And maybe that's the greatest gift he left behind. So, my friends, whenever you feel small, whenever the world tells you that you cannot rise, remember Kalam. Remember the boy who sold newspapers. Remember the man who touched the stars. Because your starting point is not your destiny. What matters is the size of your spirit, the fire in your dreams, and the courage to keep walking when the road is rough. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who feels like giving up. Subscribe to Mindshift Stories for more modern parables that can shift your perspective. And above all, never forget, you are bigger than your circumstances. Like Kalam, you can transform your story into something the world will never forget. Dr. Abdul Kalam, from a boy with newspapers in his hands to a man with stars in his reach. His life is proof that humble beginnings can lead to extraordinary destinies.